ship. Well, I can go axiom. You see, just as I promised my friend, now that the resistance has what they need, maybe something for Hondo. Pilot.
One of my favorite ships on the obscure side of Star Wars is the ZH-40 Tribune. This ship is seen by thousands of guests daily at Disneyland and Walt Disney World, but almost none of them will stop to give it a second thought. That's too bad, but fortunately I have enough to go around. I'm Joey from Radio Free Coruscant, and this is Hondo's Hotrod. Design. The Starfeld Industries ZH-40 Tribune-class light freighter was a small cargo ship designed to compete with the Corellian YT series of freighters. It had a boxy body with a long neck tipped with the cockpit and forward weapons. On the sides were 4 angled engines and 2 cargo loading arms. These arms housed a pair of dorsal cranes that could pick up and carry external cargo pods. There were also an additional 2 engines on the back of the ship's hull, making it potentially one of the fastest and most maneuverable light freighters on the market. Overall, it resembled roughly what you would get if a YT series freighter was built in a rectangle instead of a circle. Also, I'm not sure if it was on purpose or not, but I also detect notes of the Nostromo from Alien in its trident-like shape. With the cockpit on a longer middle prong and the tips of the outer prongs appearing to be hollow, it is very plausible that the doomed refinery hauler could have been an inspiration for this ship. Let me know if you'd like to see a video about the Nostromo someday, by the way. I'm not an alien expert, but I bet I could cook up something good. For now, though, we'll stick to its baby brother. Specifications. Little is known for certain about the ZH-40's specifications, as it only appears in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, an accompanying VR video game, and numerous background shots in the Star Wars shows. It has never really been in the spotlight enough to get detailed lore. Still, we can determine some of the most important facts and figures ourselves. The Tribune appears to use the same docking rings and turret platform as the YT-1300 class. They are proportional to each other, so if we assume they are indeed the same size as the YT-1300, we get a length in the 35-meter range. But assuming wasn't good enough for me, so I tried to find a shot where we can compare it to a ship with a known size. I found this shot of one on Navarro, parked next to what appears to be a Lancer-class pursuit craft, which has a length of about 34 meters. Unfortunately, that would give the ZH-40 a length of around 50 meters. To add insult to injury, it is parked across from a Guavian ship which has the same issue, where its unofficial official size is too big for its appearance. I decided to watch further in case there was a later shot that answered the question for me, and I found one. Here we see an average humanoid walking through the arch the ZH-40 is parked next to. Assuming an average human height of about 1.7 meters, we get a roughly 10.5 meter wide arch, and a roughly 25 meter long tribune, which is much closer to our original estimate. Of course, that leaves the borrowed Millennium Falcon details just ever so slightly too small, so I'm going to average our 35 meter guess and our 25 meter calculation, and say that the size I believe the Galaxy's Edge Imagineers intended for this ship to be is about 30 meters long by 15 meters wide. With the size settled, let's move on to the other stats. I would guess it to have a top speed of 900 to 1000 kilometers per hour. Most other light freighters are 800, so there must be a reason it has 6 engines. We do know for certain that it has a relatively small cargo capacity of 85 tons. It is armed with 1 quad laser turret, 1 heavy laser cannon, 1 dual laser cannon, and supposedly 4 single laser cannons on the tips of the arms, though their flat shape makes them look more like sensors or antennae to me. Perhaps the cannons are hidden somewhere else, though. It had a crew of 4, but could undoubtedly be flown by 1 or 2 people without any issue like most other ships its size. It probably had a Class 1 hyperdrive like its predecessor, the ZH-25 Quester, and a passenger capacity of 4 to 6. As for a price, it is pretty hard to say as those numbers are usually chosen rather arbitrarily, but the Quester cost 136,000 credits new and 89,000 used. The Tribune, being newer and 3 to 8 meters longer, probably cost about 150,000 credits new and 90,000 used. History. Remarkably little is known about the history of the ZH-40 Tribune. It first entered service sometime shortly before 9 BBY, and was used all the way until at least 34 ABY. Tribunes could be found hauling freight just about anywhere, including Coruscant, Alderaan, Morlana 1, Nevarro, and Batuu. One noteworthy ZH-40 was the Katooni, owned by notorious pirate and smuggler Hondo Nocte. It was named after a Jedi youngling he met during the Clone Wars. We don't know when he acquired the ship, or how, but he used it for numerous missions during the First Order War to help the Resistance, and more importantly, his pocketbook. He may have owned the ship as early as 4 ABY when he founded Onaka Transport Solutions, but it's hard to say for sure. One of the more significant missions he took it on was a heist on First Order occupied Corellia, where he and Resistance agents borrowing the Millennium Falcon from Chewbacca destroyed a First Order hover train and stole 2 large canisters of coaxium. And that's everything there is to know about the ZH-40 Tribune. Let me know what you think of this niche vessel in the comments. Also, I'd love to hear how you think Hondo got his hands on the Katooni. Originally, I would say he stole it in some kind of outrageous shenanigan, but I don't know. Something about it just gives me the vibe that this is the first ship he purchased honestly in his entire life. But what do you think? I look forward to your ideas. Anyway, I'll see you next week. RFC, out.